recording, so I'm just going to start again. So items are under the product menu, and you would go to items and you can select new to put a new item in, or list to see the list of items that are already in. So we'll just hit list for now and show you that there are quite a few items in the system, and you can actually add a new item from here as well. So I'm just going to go back out of here and go to the new screen, and we're going to just add a new item. So you put the item number in, and we'll just make up a number here, and we'll call it training. So this is the description of the item, and always make sure that the active box is checked. It comes up as a default as active, but I always check that just to make sure. And then you want to check off which type of item it is that you're entering, and in this case we'll call this a manufactured item. So it could be purchased, manufactured, and there's several other options here: phantoms, references, a costed item, tooling, outside processing, planning, and kit. So for today we're going to do manufactured, just because we're going to be talking about BOMs as well. And then you're going to have class codes. So these are preset codes that are done in the setup of the products. So these are items that are class codes. You can actually edit this list if there's something that you find that is not correct. But for now we've got these set up, and I think they relate to your type of product. We're going to select this as, let's see, we'll call it metal sheet, or sheet metal, sorry. And then we'll give the item a unit of measure, and again, these are set up, pre-done by the person who set this up. Mitch, I believe, has brought these over from your other database. So these are the different types of unit of measure. So we'll call this each. And then you have the option of saying whether this is fractional or not. So if there would be, you know, fractions in the usage of this item. And then there are freight classes. So there's just one there, and you can assign a barcode. And then you would indicate whether this item is sold or not. So if you're planning on selling the item, you need to check this box to say it's sold. And if it's sold, you need to assign a product category to the box, or to the item. So in this case, we're just going to call it a standard. And again, these product categories are put in at the setup, and you can edit that list or add to it. And you can assign a price list, or a price to this item, which would populate the price list. So we'll say $12. And if you wanted to put a wholesale price in, you can. And the unit price is, or the unit of measure for the price is each. So these are $12 each. Okay, so now we've got this lower box. You can put a comment in here about the item if you like, an extended description if you like. And then, of course, the comments box records. This is where you would see when this item has actually been created. You can assign characteristics to the item if you like. So again, these are preset characteristics you can add or adjust if you like. You can assign a cost. Now this is something you'll want to do when you first set up an item, is put a cost in for that item. You won't be able to purchase an item or sell an item if you don't have the cost added to it. So it's a good idea to do this when you're going in and setting up your items. So to add a cost, you would click New. Now in this case, because it's manufacturing, there are a couple of cost elements here that you could add. So you could add labor, and so in this case, we're going to say $5 of labor. And then the balance of the cost of this item would be to would come from the bill of material of the item because it is a manufactured item. So we're going to add $5 of labor, and then you would want to post the cost to standard so that it updates the standard cost of the item. So we'll save that. Now you can also go in and edit this. So if you find that this, maybe you did a typo or the cost has changed, the labor cost has changed, you can go in, highlight the labor, and click edit and make an adjustment to the cost. But make sure you post that cost to standard. Okay. So now here we have conversions. So if you've got an item that requires conversion, like maybe something like paint, where you buy it by the gallon, but you use it by the ounce, you can go in and set up your conversions here. So just by clicking New, and in this case, we've said that this conversion is each, but maybe it's sold in packages. So packages isn't, or maybe case is a better choice here because the case is set up. So we would say there would be, for every each, there would be 20 in the case, let's say. So we'll just leave that as each for now. And then sites, you'd want to assign a site to this item. If you save the item and don't assign a site, you'll be asked to do that. At the time of saving, the system will say, would you like to set up a site for this item? And you do want to do that so that you can action that item on sales orders or purchase orders. So we'll set up a new site, and we'll go through the most of the setup of sites later on because we're going to get into the planning and so on. But for now, we'll just do a basic setup. And so there's 2 sites that have been set up in your system. So we'll select one of them, and we want to say that this site can be manufactured because it is a manufactured item and it's going to be manufactured at this site. And you can also, I'm not sure if you'll be doing this or not, but you can have a work order created every time the item goes on to a sales order, if you like. Some people do want to do that. If you don't, just leave that blank. And if you were going to purchase also from this site, in this case we won't, but if it was a purchased item, you would check off the site can purchase the item. And then if we check this off, just to show you, you would be able to also go in and create purchase orders and link them to sales orders, and create purchase requests for sales orders, and create purchase requests for work order requirements by checking that off. So we're indicating that this item is going to be sold from this site. And now we're going to go down to the controls. So the control methods here are whether you want to have no control on the item, which is probably would only be used maybe for a reference item. Regular control, which is what most of your items would be. You can indicate that this item would be lot control. So something like, we'll go back to the paint example. Paint generally has a shelf life, so that would be a lot controlled item. Or you could go in and select serialized items and make this a serial item, in which case you would enter a serial number in when the item is purchased, and it would be monitored using the serial number. Now, if you select serial number, there is going to be an auto register at shipping. So I think maybe we'll do that just to see that box. Now we're going to select the planner code. So you can assign this, we'll assign this to planner code AS1. And again, these are preset, and you can edit it, add, delete planner codes. And then we're going to add a cost category again, and this is just one cost category. And then you would get into the costing method. So this would be a standard cost item. If it was a reference item, there would be no costing associated, and that just means that it's not going to be tracked. The cost isn't going to be tracked. If it was a job costed item, it would mean that you could do the assemble to order function, but we won't get into that today. So most of your items are going to be standard cost. And then here you can set up your sequence for lots and serial numbers. So because we've selected serial here, we can go in and we can set up, well, we'll have to go back actually and set it up because they're not listed here. But because this is a serialized item, we would want to go into the product menu again and set up the sequence for serial numbers. So I don't believe there's any in there right now. Oh, there is. So we could set up sequence number 10, would start with 10. So this would be the sequence number that the lot serials would start with. And then you have the inventory cycle count frequencies, the typical ABC class items, and event fences to this side. Now, I believe that we're just going to try and save this. I think that we don't need to put any of the location information in here. We'll get into this a little bit later on with the planning section. And we're going to save this. So now we have a site set up for this item. And it's now indicated that it will be a serial number. And I'll show you later on how to set up the serial number sequences and so on. Now here, if this item was purchased, you could set your source, which is also a good idea. You could go in and indicate which vendor you plan to purchase this item from. So by clicking New, you could go in and select a vendor from your vendor list and indicate the order parameters for that vendor, if there was a contract number, if the contract is effective, and the quantity of that contract, vendor item numbers, and so on. We'll get into that again with the purchasing side. This is a manufactured item, so we're going to cancel out of that. And then tax types, if this has taxes associated with it, when you sell it, then you could indicate that by clicking New. And we have here that the tax zones are any, and tax types would be adjustments. So you would be taxed on adjustments if you selected that, but there's freight. And you could just, generally for an item, it would be taxable if that's the case in your area. In Canada, everything's taxable. So we would always check taxable here and then select the tax zone. So we'll leave that as taxable. And then relationships, if there are any aliases, if this number is known by another number, you can indicate that by clicking on the New button and put the alias number and which account that's associated with, and that would be the CRM account. So if the customer knows this number by some other number, you would indicate it using that CRM account. So you could build an additional item masters, or not an item master necessarily, but an additional list of numbers that are associated with different customers. Sometimes customers want their part numbers on sales orders and things like that. And then substitutes, so if this was a purchased item, say a hardware item, maybe it can be substituted using different types of steel or something like that. And then transformations are, it's a little bit unique here. I think these numbers can be transformed into other numbers. In this case, this would not be happening. So you would basically have purchased and manufactured items here with possible aliases and substitutes. And then, of course, you can attach documents. So if there's an engineering release notice for this new item, you could attach it to this item. So are there any questions so far with what we've covered here? No? Okay. So let's go to now the bills of material. Now I can Oh, actually, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to save this item for now. I'm going to just show you where you would assign the lot serial sequences here. So for an item, you could go in and assign lot serials here. I want to actually do the sequences. So products, setup. This probably is something to do more with the setup of things. So it's right in this area where we've got two lot serial sequences set up. You would go into setup, pick the lot serial sequences, and put a number. In this case, we're just using the 10, 20, 30 rule, the description of the lot serial sequence, the prefix, so you could have your serial numbers start with a particular prefix, the next value for that serial number, and then the suffix for that particular serial number if you want to have a suffix. So, and then the length of the serial number as well. So just wanted to show you that. So we're going to go back. Now what I'd like to show you now is how to copy an item. So we can go into the copy feature, same place under products, item, and now copy. And the source item would be the item that's already in the item master. So we'll go in and we'll find an item here. And now I want to create a new item, and we'll call it training 1. And I have the choice of keeping that description or eliminating that description, which is probably the better choice. So we'll just call this training. And if I want to, I can copy the bill of material. If it's pretty much identical, you could do that and then go in and adjust it, save some time. You can do a cost roll-up here, and you can go in and copy the item sites as well. So we'll copy the bill of material on this one. I think yes, I did pick a manufactured item. We'll roll up the price and we'll copy the item sites. So you can see that it's populated the list price as well. So you can adjust that as well if that's not the correct list price, and it, in most cases it probably isn't. And then you can go in and you can, I'm just going to make my screen a little bit bigger here. You can go in, and these are all the component numbers that have been assigned to this particular item that we have selected, and you can go back in and remove the items you don't want on the on this new bill of material. And if I copy this, I'm going to have a new item with the target item training 1 that has this bill of material that is almost identical to this item. So this really saves a lot of time if you are going in and you're, especially if you're setting up a new database and you have a lot of items to enter and you have a lot of bills of material to enter. This can save a lot of time. You just have to be careful when you do this. You want to make sure that the component items are correct and the pricing is correct, and the descriptions and things like that are correct. It's easy to kind of get carried away, but it's a really handy feature. And then, of course, we've got the item site here, and if that happens not to be the correct item site, you can remove it. But so if we were to press copy, we would save this whole bill of material against training 1. Now, I'm not going to do this because this is quite a large, well, it's not too bad. Maybe we will do it. This is the sandbox anyway, so we can go in and select that. So now we go back out. We can take a look now. We're going to talk about bills of material. So we can create a new bill of material by clicking on New, and it's basic entry with items, revision control, document numbers. If there's an ERN or something like an engineering release notice or whatever, you could put that in there. The effectivity date of this bill of material, so you would just click the calendar and pick the date. And if there was a batch size, you could enter that there. Now I'm going to just cancel out of this and go into one that's already been created so we can talk about it a little bit better here. So we can go into this one that we just created. And so you can see now that we have this bill of material. I don't have a revision, so I can enter a revision number 1 and create a date for that revision. And all of the items would be listed here. You can click on the new button and enter an item. So you can do that. And you pick the item number from your list. So this is going to be a component. And we'll just select, you have the choice of going with make items or buy items. So we'll just select a buy item for now. Now this is a bill of materials already been created, but we can go in and add to it if we need to. And you can also search as well. If you went into the search field, you can search for, if you know the first 3 digits of the number, you could just enter those in. You could go search through the numbers. You can search by description. The second extended description. If there was a barcode, you could search by the barcode or by the alias number. And now you can assign an effectivity date. So let's say I'm adding this number, but I don't want it to become effective on this bill of material for another week. I can say that I want this to become effective on the 18th and that it never expires. If this is a temporary item that you want to add to a bill of material, you can put an expiry date of, say, it's going to be effective for 2 weeks. And in that case, all the planning that is done would plan for this for 2 weeks only, and it would come up on all the work orders for 2 weeks only. So effectivity dates are important to have correct for planning purposes and for building purposes. Now, if this was a manufactured item, I could also select here, you can see that it says create a child work order at the parent work order explosion. So if this was a manufactured item, I could check this box, and when I explode the work orders for this manufactured item, it would automatically create a child work order for this parent item, for this item when this parent item has been exploded. And that's a really good feature because it eliminates the need to have to go in and continually explode like an MRP, true MRP run would do. So this basically is doing the same thing if each of the subassemblies has this box created. And then, of course, you could issue the child work order to the parent work order when the parent work order is received. So that's another option. You can assign a fixed quantity for this item, so it will always pull a certain amount every time this work order is created, or a work order is created for this item, or you can have a quantity per, which is the more normal way to enter bill of material. You can assign a scrap percentage as well, so every time this item is issued to a work order, there's always a portion of scrap that is also issued. And you can choose your issue methods. So the issue methods are the standard push and pull methods. So the pull method is like back flushing. So the system would automatically deduct from inventory at the time the work order is exploded. So basically back flushing. The push method is done manually, so you would have to go in and release these items on when you release the order and issue the material, you would be requested to issue them one by one. Now, the push method you probably only use if there was an item that you were really wanted to keep control on. Most often you can use mix, so that means that you can use either method. You could also assign an ECN number to this item, say when the item was added to the bill of material, notes and any references towards that this item being added, and substitutions. So if there's a substitute you can use other than this, you can indicate it here. And of course the comments, and then the costs. And so we can save this item. And you now built your bill of materials. So you would continue on with building this order. Are there any questions about the bills of material?
No, I don't have any.
Okay. All right. We'll just take a look at this manufactured item here just to show you you can see here that we have create child work order at parent work order explosion checked off. So whenever, just to go back to that item, this is a good feature, something you should do. It saves you having to go in and issue work orders for child items within a parent. So just wanted to show you that. And I think we have this training item. I wanted to see the auto register at shipping feature. So I'm going to close that. And you can also, just going back to the bills of material, you can also copy bills of material. So we could click the copy button, and it sort of is similar to the items in that you pick a source item and a target item, and it would copy a bill of material. So this would be very handy if you were retiring a part, an assembly, and creating a new assembly, and where the bill of materials are almost identical, maybe with a few minor changes. So that's very handy. Okay. And I think that's going to be it. I just want to, there is a feature called auto register at shipping. So I think this has to do with serial numbers. And I want to see this, show you where this is checked off. Oh, I guess it was, sorry, I've chosen the wrong item here. Sorry, just give me 1 second. I'll get into the right item. It was a different item number. We need deserialized here. There it is. Mitch, maybe you can help me out here as to where that auto register at shipping expiration. Okay, so there it is. So you could check this off if you wanted to automatically register a serial number at the time of shipping, which is a good idea because you want to keep your serial number integrity going. So this is a good thing to do. And also perishable, you can indicate that as well here, and warranty as well. So that's it. Are there any questions at all that anyone has about anything that we covered this morning?
I don't think so.
It will make more sense once you get going with the system. So just let me know if you have any questions later on.
Okay, I'm sure there will be.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be. It's standard item master bill of material. If you've ever worked in any other systems, it's pretty basic. So, okay. So
we appreciate it very much.
Oh, you're welcome. No problem at all.